Everyone. So Jarred Vanderbilt has been a real standout ever since we acquired him via trade. His defense and energy is just special, right? I mean, he's everywhere on the court. He's locking guys up. I mean, look at like the Pelicans game with Brandon Ingram. He made things so difficult for Brandon Ingram. And look, guys like Ingram, KD, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, guys like that, we're really going to need Jarred Vanderbilt as much as possible. We're going to need him to match up and just make things difficult. You're never going to stop those guys, right? Guys in the NBA that are stars, that are that talented of scorers, you're never going to shut them down completely, but it's about making them as uncomfortable and things as difficult as possible. You know, if a guy is a 27 point per game scorer, it's about keeping him to 23 points because that 4 points could be the difference between you winning and losing the game. If a guy shoots 48% from the field goal range, right, you want to get him to like 45%. Right? And because that difference is huge. And not just that, it's taking more shots for him to get to his average. And it impacts the game. And that's what we've seen Jarred Vanderbilt be able to do. And the Lakers as a whole, since the trade, are number one in overall defense. So that is really significant. Now, again, it's a very small sample size, and we'll see if that can continue. But I do believe that this team has a lot more energy, a lot more aggressive, a lot more physical, just a lot more talented and gifted in general. And I do think that they could be, a top 10 defense at the worst by the time the season is end, at least from the point of which the trade happened to the end of the season, right? And so if that can happen, and if they can continue to be that way, then we should win a lot of games. And we have a very big game coming up in the Dallas Mavericks game. We got to get that win tomorrow, or depending on what time you're watching this video, today. And we need that win badly. But Luka Doncic is a monster, right? He is someone very special and somebody that is very gifted and talented in this league. And Jarred Vanderbilt is our best option to just slow him down and make things as difficult as possible. And it looks like, according to Darvin Ham, that is going to be the defensive assignment. That Jarred Vanderbilt, his job is going to be to shut down Luka Doncic as much as possible. Again, you're never going to fully shut him down. But here's what Jovan Buha had to say. He said, Darvin Ham said Jarred Vanderbilt will start as the primary defender against Luka Doncic, but the Lakers will throw different looks at him. Also added, he's a great player. He plays at his own pace. So just not letting him be comfortable. When he's comfortable, he's a great player. Jarred Vanderbilt is ready for that defensive assignment on Luka Sunday. So again, Jarred Vanderbilt, his ability, his length, his size, his toughness, his energy is going to be very valuable against the Dallas Mavericks, right? Dallas isn't very good defensively, but they can score, and they can score in bunches. And now they have a guy in Kyrie Irving who's really going to help add just some stability in the scoring department for Luka. So it's not just all on Luka's shoulders to play make and facilitate and score. But if you can make things difficult for Luka and him being the engine for that team, then that is just huge, right? Because if Vanderbilt can kind of hold his own against Luka and Luka doesn't go off for some insane amount, then now we can focus on, okay, well, let's throw several guys at Kyrie Irving. Again, you're not going to slow down, or you're not going to stop Kyrie Irving, but you can make things difficult, try to slow him down a little bit. And if you can kind of neutralize those two guys as much as possible, you're going to win the game, right? If you can keep Luka from getting, 30, 10 and 10, and you can keep him to something, relatively pedestrian for him and say, 23 points, right? If you can keep him to 23, 8 and 8, that could be the huge difference in you winning and losing a game. And then not just Jarred Vanderbilt, because he can't play 48 minutes, but what you can do is you can throw Vanderbilt on Luka for a good majority. And then like we saw with Brandon Ingram, right? So you throw Vanderbilt, get Vanderbilt some rest, throw Troy Brown on him, match up that size. Luckily, Luka isn't this just fast speed type of guy. I wouldn't even mind throwing like Rui on him just to give some size and some physicality so Luka can't just back Rui down, get whatever he wants. I would love to see Rui kind of match up with Luka, not heavily, right? Because having Rui is he is very big, powerful, and sizable, but he's not very quick on his feet. Luka isn't the fastest guy in the world. He plays at that slow, sort of methodical pace. I do think Rui can stay in front of Luka and again, just kind of make things difficult. Use his length, use his size, use his physicality to kind of just wear down Luka over the course of the game. And, again, he's not going to be guarding him 40 minutes, but I do think you could throw Vanderbilt, you could throw Rui, you could throw Troy Brown on Luka, give you 3 different looks, 3 different types of defenders, and just, again, make things as difficult as possible on Luka. And then when it comes to Kyrie, you have a plethora of guys, right? You have Austin Reeves, you have Dennis Schroeder. Again, you're not going to stop these guys, but to just slow them down, wear them down over the course of a game to where it's like they're only one guy, but they're constantly seeing 3, 4, 5 guys, and you kind of just make everyone else try to beat you, which I don't think everyone else would be able to beat you, right? So if you can kind of neutralize Luka and Kyrie as much as possible, then that could be the difference in the course of this game. And it's just about being physical. It's just about being aggressive. It's just about, just wearing them down over the course of, 38 minutes or however many minutes they decide to play. Luka, maybe 40 minutes. You can do that. This game is a very winnable game. And we did a good job on Luka the last time we played them. And we just got away from the things that were working, and he ended up making us pay. But even last time, that was a game that we should have won. And we made things very difficult for Luka, just throwing different bodies at him and throwing different defensive sets and running him off the ball, right? Well, now we have Jarred Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura and guys like that we didn't really have, right? We didn't have these guys that can now have the size and the physicality that you could throw at him over and over and over again. And that is going to be very valuable, in my opinion, for this game. And we play them again, right? So I would like to get both wins. It's really hard. I mean, Dallas is a good team, but I do believe we can get both. If we can just, again, slow down Luka, slow down Kyrie as much as possible, and just make things difficult. Guys are going to have to step up. We're going to need better games out of LeBron and AD, very likely. Again, I don't care about the stats. I care about winning the game. Like, if we don't need LeBron and AD, if we don't need those two to go off for 50 points collectively, then fine. If we can win the game with Jarred Vanderbilt just playing stellar defense on Luka Doncic, and we throw several guys at Kyrie, and we are off to the races, and LeBron has 15, 6, and 8 or something like that, and AD has 15, 12, and 3. Cool. I'm okay with it. That's fine. Again, I don't care about the stats, but very likely we're going to need our stars to show up this game. Very likely we're going to need Anthony Davis to be a defensive monster, control the paint, slow down and shut down Christian Wood as much as possible, and whoever else they decide to throw at him. LeBron's going to have to be LeBron, and we're going to need him to do a lot of just the playmaking and kind of keeping things together, especially because we're probably not going to have D'Angelo Russell. So if we don't have D'Lo, I wouldn't even mind starting, say, Troy Brown, Beasley, Vanderbilt, LeBron, and AD, and have LeBron be the kind of starting point guard, have the ball kind of flow through him. You could always just have like Beasley or Brown bring the ball up just for the sake of bringing it up. Even Vanderbilt, we've seen Vanderbilt be able to kind of initiate the offense too. So you always could have guys bring it up, and it's not a problem. So you could do that. Very likely he'll probably start Dennis Schroeder. But the reason I like the idea of Troy Brown is because then you could have Troy Brown and Vanderbilt just running at Luka constantly. Like the entire course of the game. You may even be able to, I wonder if you probably could get away with going big in this matchup because Luka plays the point guard. So you could have Jarred Vanderbilt just stick to Luka the whole game and then maybe go Rui. So could you go like Vanderbilt, Beasley, Rui, LeBron, and AD, and then just have Rui and Vanderbilt just being physical with Luka, and then that'll also make it so that way they can't just run screens to switch off of Luka because the Lakers would have so much size. Like this might be one of the few games where you could probably do that and get away with it and have LeBron be the matchup. The problem is you wouldn't have much 3-point shooting, right? Because, I mean, Rui can knock it down when he's wide open, but he's not a great elite 3-point shooter. Vanderbilt's not. LeBron hasn't been this year. You basically be banking on Beasley to be lights out. I don't hate that idea. I'd probably rather go Troy Brown because Troy Brown's a better shooter. So you could go Troy Brown, like I said, Beasley, Vando, LeBron, and AD. And then you could do the same thing. You have Troy Brown and Vanderbilt just basically running at Luka and just sticking to Luka like glue. And plus, Vanderbilt and Troy Brown are really good at recovering off of guys. So, like, you know, if Luka kicks it out, Vanderbilt and Brown are quick enough and just smart enough to chase off that other guy. So you'd have that where Rui wouldn't have that foot speed. So yeah, I really like the idea of like Brown, Vanderbilt. You kind of have LeBron kind of be your point guard in the starting lineup, and then you have Dennis Schroeder run the second unit. And then in that case, you could have like you could run basically your front or your back three of Brown, Vanderbilt, and Beasley, and all three of those guys just are constantly switching on Kyrie and Luka, right? Now, obviously, you don't want Beasley being on an island with Luka very much, but you know you could have him kind of chase around Kyrie, and then LeBron can kind of just play scout and help and switch on Luka, or kind of just in a pinch cover Kyrie, and then you have AD just being AD and you know controlling the paint, making sure that guys aren't just walking to the basket and stuff like that, and then just guard the perimeter. I really think you could make things very difficult for Dallas, really get some size out there, and just put some pressure on Dallas. That's probably the approach that I'd take. But again, I mean, they have Kyrie and they have Luka. They have two very gifted, talented scorers. You're never going to be able to stop them. You're never going to be able to shut them down. But can you make it just as difficult as possible to where they're not going off for 70? If you can do that, then fine. Because now everyone else but these two have to beat you. Now everyone else has to have big games because Luka can't, he can't get anything done. And the problem was last time we played them, we didn't have the just more natural offense that we have now, right? Like we had stretches where we just couldn't score and take advantage of it. But it was one of those things where now we have all of those things. We have better shooting, better scoring, better playmaking, better everything. So I really do like what we're seeing now with this Lakers team, and I really do think we have so much more versatility for these guys than we did prior. Because before we were running Troy Brown and Patrick Beverley and Austin Reeves and all those guys. We were basically just throwing multiple guys at Luka Doncic as opposed to just putting a guy like Vanderbilt on him and just saying, hey, stick to him like glue. That is your guy. You're done. That you don't worry about nobody else. Just guard him and then let everyone else kind of worry about the other guys. Like that's probably the best approach. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think about us in Dallas? Do you think we win tomorrow? Do you think we not? Do you think Vanderbilt's going to be able to match up well against Luka? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comment section below.